Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team. And today it's Ken Decker, and I'm here with Steve. And Steve works or owns the company JD Swallow Heating and Air Conditioning. And so we're going to have a special treat and learn about heating and air conditioning and inside air quality and all kinds of great things today. So Steve, let's just start off with this indoor air quality. You're starting to hear a little more about that, especially with some homes that I run into that maybe have mold or dust particles. We make houses very, very airtight these days. They're wrapped in plastic basically, and then we caulk all the corners and seal it all up. So we're basically living in a plastic bag. And so talk to us about air quality and what's out there to improve that.
It's my belief that indoor air quality these days is kind of on the up in front and up and coming of what homeowners should be really, really interested in. Indoor, like you say, your home is like a baggie with a twist tie on it, and actually homes that are built like that, the indoor air quality is a lot poorer than what's outside. So, there's lots of things to rectify that. There's HEPA filters, there's different types of media filters, there's indoor air purifiers such as UV lights and just humidifiers, and there's lots of different apparatuses that you can do to increase your indoor air quality.
Cool. So let's talk about a few of those things a little bit. So you mentioned UV lights. I know we use those on well water sometimes if we've got bacteria in them. So is it the same kind of thing with air quality?
Same concept. They're very popular in hospitals, and the UV light is an ultraviolet light. It goes into your ductwork system. They do have standalone systems as well. And what they do is the air passes over it. The ultraviolet light does its magic and helps clean the air in your house.
Right, so less colds and flus and that sort of thing?
Less colds, less flus, and I don't have the list with me, but they actually do kill viruses and bacteria in the home.
Wow, okay, that's great. And so you mentioned HEPA filter. We are hearing more and more about HEPA filters in cars and standalone HEPA filters, and so now there's some for furnaces as well?
Furnaces, yes. You have HEPA filters that will, once again, they use the ductwork in your home, and HEPA standing for high efficiency particulate air. And, basically a decent HEPA filter will clean the air in your home 3 times every hour. So what it does is it takes out odors and smells, and once again, it takes out bacteria, fine particles, and you can be very, 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 very clean air in your home. So it takes the air out of the ductwork system, washes it, and puts it back into the ductwork system, so it's cleaning the air in your home for you.
Interesting. And so what kind of costs will we be looking at for like a ultraviolet or a HEPA or both? Or?
Well, there's so many different variables, and you can purchase so many different types. I mean, estimates are free. Most contractors will come into your home and give you an estimate. I mean, you can look at $1,000 for a HEPA filter. You can purchase them for $3,000 and $4,000. It just depends on what the needs are of your home, and every home is different. So I can't quite give you an exact ballpark, but a decent indoor air quality setup with a HEPA filter will run you approximately $1,500.
Okay. And so probably also would be dependent on people's health issues. Like if somebody's very sensitive to dust or allergens or that sort of thing, they might really want to do that and spend some extra money on it to make sure it's
yes, indoor air quality also, doing the duct cleaning in your home. You have ducts to clean the ducts, washing the air, doing all of that. And it's a proven fact that doing these things in your home with indoor air quality and air cleaning will actually, improve your health and improve the indoor air quality in your home so that you're a lot more comfortable and you are, breathing a better air in your home.
Excellent. And so what's the life expectancy of these devices?
Well, a HEPA filter has a whole bunch of different filters in it, depending on the model that you purchase, but it's got a core, which is the HEPA core. On average, a HEPA filter, the core is every 2 to 5 years. They want you to change it. And then it has what we call pre-filters, which gather some of the bigger dust. And then it has carbon filters for odors and smells in your home. So it varies, it needs to be serviced regularly, every 6 months at least to change the pre-filter, sometimes more, sometimes less. It just depends on the indoor air quality of your home.
Okay. And you're talking about a lot of different filters in there, carbon filter and so on and so forth. Does that slow down the air or reduce the amount of airflow in your home, or is the furnace set up for that to push the air through?
So a HEPA filter is a standalone piece of equipment. We put it beside the furnace or hang it from the ceiling, depending on space constraints in your home. And it draws air out of the ductwork system, cleans it and pushes it back into the ductwork system. So it has no effect on the airflow in your home whatsoever.
Oh, okay. So similar like an
HRV,
HRV, which bringing in cold air from outside and
Yes.
switching it.
An HRV is a heat recovery ventilation system. It takes air from outside, brings it into your home, takes air from your home and pushes it outside. And as they crisscross paths, the simplest thing I can say is it robs the heat, so it recovers the energy that it would have been wasting to ventilate your home. And it's a standalone piece of equipment as well. It basically does that as well. And it's tied into the ductwork system. So an HRV brings in the air, robs the heat. The HEPA filter brings in and washes the air and puts it back into the ductwork system.
Okay, great. And so now there's been a lot of talk, especially with our government going to energy efficiency and reducing our carbon footprint and all these funny things. And I'm not sure my footprint hasn't changed since they introduced all this sort of stuff. But low and mid efficiency furnaces, you can't buy them anymore. So they're just high and higher, I guess. There's different levels of high efficiency furnaces.
Exactly. Here in Canada, we're no longer allowed to sell mid-efficiency furnaces. There might be still the odd one kicking around that you can install, but they're no longer sold in Canada. They have an efficiency of about 80%. Now, the minimum standard as to a couple of years ago was 92%, which we can still get. They're talking of raising the standard to 95 and 96%. But the average furnace today, from your good, your better to your best, has an efficiency rating of about 95%. So for every dollar you give it, 95 cents of that dollar is being drawn out of the fuel for heat for your home.
Okay, compared to low and mids that are out there?
Compared to lows. You know, if you have a furnace that has a conventional standing pilot, so you see a little flame inside of your furnace 24 hours a day, that's what we call a conventional furnace.
Okay.
Not very efficient anymore, very few moving parts. And, the life expectancy of these particular furnaces are nearing the end if they're not already done. If you have it inspected every year and they give it a good clean bill of health, you can keep it. But I recommend changing it simply because of the efficiencies of new furnaces. And then the next generation of furnaces were a mid-efficiency furnace. You might hear some noises coming from it from what's called a venter motor, and it's connected to your conventional chimney, and it has an electronic ignition. There's a bunch of different electronic ignitions, but it uses a metal pipe going up to your chimney, and that was the mid-efficiency, the model. And then now we use high-efficiency furnaces, and they vent out the side of your building or up through the roof, whichever you prefer, with plastic pipes. And these are the high efficiency, and it's called a condensing gas furnace. The fuel is robbed of so much heat. What's left is a lot of condensation. So if you see a furnace that draws a lot of water out of it, that's what we call a high efficiency condensing gas furnace.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was actually at a house, showing a house just about a week or so ago, and the home was cool. It was vacant. It was cool. So I said to my buyer, I said, well, let's just fire up the furnace and see how it does, if it warms up the house and how it sounds. So I turned up the thermostat, and I heard it come on, and then there was nothing, no fan blowing any heat yet. So after a minute, I went down into the basement, went into the furnace room. The furnace room was hot, and it was a conventional furnace, had a chimney, and I just tapped the chimney to see if there was any flames happening, see if the chimney was warm. Well, the chimney almost burned my hand. So much heat was going up the chimney, and the heat exchanger wasn't ready to put heat into the house yet.
Exactly.
So a lot of waste there.
You're right. That conventional furnace with the standing pilot, a lot of your heat's going up the chimney. 30 to 40% of it, and that's why that pipe is really, really, really hot. When you got into mid-efficiency furnaces, they were able to bring another 100 or 200 degrees of heat for your home. That's what they had something called a venter motor. And then, of course, now when you get into the high-efficiency furnaces with plastic pipe, when you go outside and you put your hand in front of that pipe, the temperature is 80 or 90 degrees. It's very, very cool. The rest of that's all being drawn into your home as heat.
Very neat. And so have air conditioners gotten more efficient as well?
Yes, air conditioners are very, very efficient these days. If you have an air conditioner at the side of your home that's more than 10 or 12 years old, it probably has a seasonal energy efficiency rating, a SEER. That's how we rate air conditioners. We rate them in SEER, or the tonnage. The tonnage is the size you need for your home, and the SEER rating is how efficient it is. Getting back to what I was saying, if they're more than 10 or 12 years old, you probably have one at the side of your home that is about a 6 SEER. Not very efficient, and I bet you it's very noisy. The minimum standard a few years ago was 10 SEER. Now that's also been increased again. So a contractor these days can only offer you an air conditioner that has a minimum efficiency of 13 SEER. That's what we call our entry-level system, but it's, far, far better than air conditioners of 10 years ago. They're twice as efficient. So the average air conditioner going into a home these days is 13 to 14 and a half SEER, but we can see that change in a few years. They now come in 16, 18, 20, 25. Like the SEER ratings are getting ridiculously high, extremely efficient. Size of air conditioners, meaning the physical footprint, the bigger the SEER rating, of course, the larger the actual unit is itself. But if somebody offers you a 13 SEER unit, it's not a bad thing. It is the minimum that they can offer you. If they offer you anything less, it's an old stock piece of equipment. And air conditioners no longer use the old refrigerant, which is called R22. That was phased out. We now use the new refrigerant called R410A. And I'm sure there's everything else in between. But these are the two most common ones you see in the marketplace.
Okay, so if someone's got an air conditioner that is 10, 12, or 15, 20 years old, I know we just looked at mine here at the office, and it's probably 20 years old, and so we'll have you in shortly to swap that out with a more efficient unit. What kind of cost savings would you look at on a season, especially, sometimes people, this is actually an office, so we run our air conditioning during the day. We don't turn it off while we're not at home, right? And then at night when it's cool, we're not here. So it's not as, so
we can
we're
talk
using
about
it more.
We can talk about programmable thermostats when you're not in the building.
Yeah.
But the more you use the air conditioner, the more efficient it should be because it's coming on more and more. For the average residential home, it's my understanding that in our climate, we run an air conditioner and it runs about 350 hours a year. But there's that 2 or 3 weeks when we really, really want it. So I believe to go from a 13 SEER to a 14 SEER, with the way energy rates are today, you're saving anywhere from $50 to $70 a season. So it can pay for itself. And the more efficient you go, the more you can save.
So that was from a 6 to a 13?
I'm sorry, from a 13 to a 14.
Oh, 13 to 14,
To
okay.
go from a 6 SEER unit, such as you have, to a 14 SEER unit, your savings should be maybe quadrupled, depending on the energy rates, depending on how often your doors are open and closed, and depending on the outdoor temperature. So
yeah, lots of variables there.
Lots of variables.
The size of the house and the size of the unit.
The size of the house, the size of the unit. What we can say is, it's going to run approximately 350 hours a season, and whatever electricity that's consuming over 350 hours are what the savings will be. So for each SEER point, as we call it, they're telling me, and it's my understanding, that it's about $50 per SEER point that you should save per season.
Wow. Okay, so that's significant.
Significant in sound. It's very, very, very quiet.
And with electricity only going up, it seems,
it's
the savings increases every year.
Exactly. Which gets back to our programmable thermostats. You don't have to have a programmable thermostat, but if you decide to put a programmable thermostat in your home, and if you program it effectively, you can save 25% of your energy cost.
Really?
Yes.
25.
25%. So meaning when you're at night and you're in bed sleeping, you have it automatically come down, and then you choose a time to have it come on before you're awake, so you're at that happy, comfortable temperature.
Awesome. And I even hear that they've got programmable thermostats. I know the Ontario Hydro has ones where they can fiddle with your temperature a little bit during the day if they need some more electricity, if demand's up. But they also have ones that you can control remotely yourself.
Yes. So yes, Hydro has a thermostat that they'll give you that they can turn on and off at their will. That's my understanding of them. What I propose to consumers is we have a brand of thermostat that you can control with your smartphone. No matter where you are in the world, and it can send you alerts and emails. You just need a Wi-Fi connection in your home, and we hook it up to your furnace and your air conditioner and whatever indoor air quality you have in your home, and we set parameters, and you can control it right from your phone anywhere in the world.
So if you're going away, you can keep everything cool, and then an hour or 2 or 3 before you land on your plane, you just hit your smartphone, turn your heat up so it's nice and toasty when you get in.
The best feature I like about them, when I was test running in my home, I was away camping for the weekend, and what had happened was my air conditioner stopped working, and it was a really, really hot weekend, and I set the parameters to send me an email when something in my house is not working properly. So 1 degree difference, you can set the parameters. For example, in my home, I said if my home were to drop 1 degree to send me an email. I mean, most clients don't even realize their home has dropped until it's gone down 2 or 3 degrees. So it'll send you alerts, and you can set these things up, and technology is coming a far, 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 far way.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. And if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team. And today we're interviewing Steve from JD Swallow Heating and Air Conditioning. And we're really getting a great education here on where things have come technology-wise with heating and air conditioning, and efficiencies are way up. And as a matter of fact, I think you mentioned you have a free indoor air quality test that you'll do for people if they suspect maybe, they've got too much pollens in the air or too much dust, or maybe things aren't efficient or whatever. You have a device, an
Absolutely.
indoor quality device.
It's a free service that we offer, and it's an indoor air quality test, and there's no obligation. You give us a call at the office, and we'll set something up for you, and we come in and we have apparatuses and tools, and we'll test the air quality of your home. We'll check air particulates, and if it's great, we're not going to try to propose anything to you, but if there's anything that you need, we can show you what's out there to increase the air quality in your home. It is a free test. There's no obligation. You just have to call the office, and we'll gladly set up an appointment with you at your convenience.
Well, that's a great segue into what is the number they should call, Steve, if they wanted to connect with you.
So JD Swallow Heating and Air Conditioning, our phone number is 613-822-7974, or you can visit us on the web at www.jdswallow.com.
Okay, great. And we'll get that number for you again. If you're listening and you go, oh, I didn't quite get that phone number, we'll repeat it again near the end of the show. So some of the questions I have, I sell properties in the country, in the city, all over the place. And in the city, the majority of what we run into is natural gas heating. There's a little bit of old oil furnaces still kicking around here or there, but the majority is natural gas. Some of the rural properties, you can't get natural gas. So many of my clients will say, well, what's the difference if I'm buying an electric heated house or a natural gas heated house or an oil or propane? What kind of heating, what's the most expensive, I guess? And I know you can't go by dollar because it changes by the size of the house, the efficiency of the unit, all kinds of things fall into play there.
At today's energy rates, oil seems to have creeped up very, very high as to what the costs are. What you can do to help with some of those rising costs is you can remove the oil and you can put in propane. If that's not an option, you can take the air conditioner that you have and possibly think about putting in a heat pump. A heat pump is a combination air conditioning heating source. At today's rates, electricity still appears to be the most expensive heating source, even though it is the most efficient. It will make you dig deep into your pocket. The next in line for if you don't have natural gas would be propane and oil. They used to be running neck and neck, but right now oil is far surpassed propane in cost. So oil is very expensive, and the oil industry is also suffering because of insurance companies. I don't do oil, so hopefully these comments are correct. It's my understanding that you have to get your oil tank checked every 10 years, and insurance companies are forcing consumers to replace their oil tanks every 10 years. Some are longer, and also some insurance companies, I've heard through the grapevine, they won't even insure your home if you have oil.
So some don't like them, and there's a mandatory inspection of the tank, the lines, and the device yearly to get your next season of oil delivered, because there have been so many spills and it's so expensive to clean up an environmentally, a spill of oil is just nasty. So that's another reason. And oil, once you've had a little leak, and I'm not talking environmental leak, I'm talking just some little leaks, you can kind of smell oil in the basement. So I think the other three types of heating are very, very clean smelling. They're very clean fuels. And then there's heat pumps, of course. We've got air source heat pumps, ground source, and water source. Very expensive, the water source.
Water source or ground source, they use loops in the ground or they use wells. I don't do those. You would have to get a hold of a geothermal expert for those. You can call the office and we have a couple to recommend. There are air-to-air source heat pumps. It basically looks like an air conditioner, but it also has the capability of giving you some heat. And there are excellent alternatives if you don't have access to natural gas, and if you're heating with oil or propane or electric, a heat pump is a great alternative because it gives you a secondary source of heat. to actually heat your home.
Right. Now, I had one 25 years ago, air source heat pump, and I didn't find it was super efficient. And I'm thinking probably if air conditioners have become way, way more efficient than heat pumps, which work on a similar system, they just reverse in the winter, right? I would think that probably the efficiency's gone way up on that as well.
You're absolutely right. Air conditioners and heat pumps and basically all equipment. But yes, when we're talking about heat pumps, they have gained popularity and they are becoming extremely, extremely efficient.
Okay, excellent. So another thing I noticed at our church, they actually changed the hot water tank. I'm on the finance committee, so I watch the dollars as they come in and out of the church, and we like to be good stewards of our money. And we had this huge hot water tank there, which really, yeah, there's people in the building other nights, but typically it's there for Sunday. It's mostly a 1 day a week kind of hot water tank, and it was huge. And you recently changed that to a tankless or hot water on demand.
Yes. A tankless or on-demand system doesn't hold any water. So there's two types of water heaters on the market. There's one that's a storage type. If you go down to your basement, it's a cylinder and it's full of water and it keeps water hot 24 hours a day. And once you run out, it's gone and you have to wait for it to heat back up. Now what's very popular are on-demand tanks or tankless, and what they do is they heat the water as it's being used. So you can have an endless supply of hot water.
Dangerous if you have teenagers.
Dangerous if you have teenagers. Yes. I've heard that some bills have gone up because now they never get out of the shower. But yeah, if you have a 40-gallon or a 50-gallon, these are the most common ones in most homes. That's 50 gallons of water sitting there, and it can only heat the water up so quickly. And once it's gone, you have to wait. Now, when you have a tankless or an on-demand system, you have an endless flow of water. The typical one, the average one for most homes that we're installing in the city of Ottawa, have a flow of about 7 gallons per minute. That's the equivalent of 3 showers in the summertime running forever non-stop, and you'll never run out of water.
Wow.
And they're very small.
Yeah, and I noticed the costs for the fuel for our church have gone way down. And the only thing I can attribute it to is this new tankless hot water tank.
Yes.
Hot water heater. It'd be oxymoron to call it a tankless hot water tank, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And so, do you have like valves that we can shut off the hot water on our smartphone?
Well, we can go into business and try to design one.
Well,
That
I think
sounds
it would be
like a
great because their kids are in the shower too long. We just turn off the hot water and then they have cold and they won't be in there much longer.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be good.
But the cost difference, they're almost about 35% more. So I'll give you some numbers to play with. The average company will put in a tankless water heater in here from $3,000 to $4,000, and if you put in a storage type tank, you could put one in for around $2,000. So there is a considerable cost difference, but there is a but. And in this case, when you go tankless or on demand, the energy savings are approximately 30%. So they do pay for themselves. The other thing that's great about a tankless is it has the life expectancy of twice that of a storage type tank.
Right.
So there's room constraints, there's sizing, and so they are a great investment.
Okay. And do you rent those? Like a lot of people rent hot water tanks. Do you rent?
Well, you can rent them, you can purchase them. There are many things available in this day and age when we like to hang on to our money in our pocket. You know, we have plans that you can take 12 equal payments, 24 equal payments. You can, there's lots of different things. If you give our office a call, we can certainly gear something for you, for anybody that can make this happen for you.
And that number again to call?
613-822-7974.
Okay, that's
one
awesome.
number does it all.
And you do sales, service, and installation.
Yes, JD Swallow Heating has been around since 1968. JD Swallow is still around. He's in his mid-70s. That's my father-in-law. He incorporated the company around the 1980s, and he turned it over to me about 7 years ago. So he's still an active part of it, and we're a family-owned and operated company. And if you need any sales, any service, any installations, or if you just want to call and chat, any questions, give us a call.
Okay, that's great. One more time, that number.
613-822-7974.
Okay, and we're going to switch tracks here a little bit and talk. I find with the warmer weather, more and more people are saying, hey, I might like to buy a brand new house, and they like to go out and see the new home models and that sort of thing. My recommendation is that if you're hedging that way, you're thinking that maybe it's time to make a move and buy a brand new home, give us a call. Give the Decker team a call, because we have expertise in helping you find the right builder for your needs, the right location, picking the right upgrades, and even the right selection of the lot. All those things can make a huge difference in your future resale value. One of the things that you may even want to do is have us in on your color design picking of upgrades and that sort of thing. It can be sometimes overwhelming when you go in and the builder has so many different colors and materials to pick from. Now, what a lot of builders have done is they've created packages. So if you pick this color brick, you automatically get this color siding. And so there's packages which is helping people select. Now, one of the things the builders will not allow us to do is help you if you go into their sales sites without us. So if you're going into the sales sites, give us a call and say, hey, you know what, we're thinking we might want to do this. Can you come with us and help guide us through that process? If you don't buy anything and you don't want to sell your home, that's fine. We'll still register you and go through that process with you, with the builder, so that we can make sure we're there to keep you safe. It's been a great time talking with you, Steve. We've had a wonderful education. I've learned stuff about heating and air conditioning. It's been really great. And if you want to connect with us about a new home, give us a shout. It's 613-860-4663. 613-860-4663. And if there's any other service providers that you need for your home and that type of thing, we'd love to be your connection point. So give us a call. We have all kinds of great contacts, like Steve here, who can help you with all your home needs. All the best, and we'll see you in the next show on the Inside Track on Real Estate. Bye for now.